Okay, welcome back. And our guest, as I said, this time is the INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner. Sorry about that. The INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Bayelsa State, Mr. Obo Effanga. He's joining us this morning from, Bayelsa State. Good morning to you, Resident Electoral Commissioner.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you very much for making the time for us. Give us an update, please, if you will, of the situation. Effectively, I'm asking for something of a situation report in Bayelsa State. Are you happy with all preparations? Are there any areas of concern that are being addressed right now?
I'm happy with the preparations so far. As of yesterday, the materials for the local government areas had been sent to each of the local government areas. And today, those materials would be sent to the registration area centers, also known as RACs. These are the areas where our ad hoc personnel, our election personnel, will camp overnight with the materials so that early on Saturday, that's tomorrow, they can go to the polling units and the polling units would be open for the elections.
So all the everything then seems to be set. There's very little more that can, or maybe I shouldn't say that. I was going to say, so what remains in terms of preparation just between now and tomorrow? Crossing the T's and dotting the I's before we come to talk about matters of security, if at all that is important.
Sorry, you're sounding very faint at times.
Oh, you couldn't hear me? If that's what you said, I said, so what are we engaged with now? When I say we, actually I mean you, sir. What is INEC engaged with now in terms of preparation for tomorrow's event? This will be, no doubt, since you're happy with all efforts so far, this will be in the areas of crossing the T's and dotting the I's. What are those things? Or do you actually, has everything really been set up then?
Well, really, you're sounding very faint. I didn't get your question very well, but if you're talking about the preparation for tomorrow, like I said, the materials are in the local government areas already, and this evening, the registration area centers, also known as RACs, would be open, would be activated so that our ad hoc staff who would carry out the election at the polling units would be camped there. They will have refresher training overnight, and then they'll move with all the materials to the respective polling units early enough tomorrow morning. So, so far, we are not anticipating a delay opening the polls unless something unusual happens overnight.
Okay, which we hope will not. We hope that, everything will be as fine as you see it now. The other issue, of course, if all that is already done and dusted, will then be the matter of stability within Bayelsa State. How much of a concern is that? And can you sort of give me something of a rundown on what you know that the security agencies, the whole security paraphernalia is up and about in Bayelsa?
I can hardly hear what you're saying.
I'm so sorry about that. Security. Can you tell us, please, what you think of the security in place for tomorrow's election? Okay, Mr. Effanga,
Okay.
I tried to repeat.
I can hear you now.
Okay, now, so I wanted you to give us a report on the security situation, the stability situation as far as the security agencies are, because we do know that they are also there. There's a presence. So again, talk to us a bit about the security preparations that are in place.
Okay, so we are working in partnership with the security agencies. You know that INEC does not manage security of the elections. We do this in partnership with the agencies whose responsibility it is to manage security. So we are closely working with the police and other security agencies. They are all on ground here. And yesterday when we deployed our materials and personnel to the local government areas, we did that with the support of the security agencies who provided the personnel, their armed personnel, to go with our own personnel and the materials to the local government areas. If there are areas that they are the experts in the issue of security and intelligence, if there are areas that they worry that there may be problems, we also expect that they will be proactive enough to handle those situations. Our work is to focus on the operations for the election, and we also expect every other stakeholder to do their work and do their part to ensure that the election is successful. The success of the election depends on a wide range of persons and groups, and so INEC is doing its own bit to ensure that personnel and materials for the election get to the designated places on time. And we also expect that other agencies will do their part. It's also important to mention that when we are talking about security, we also need to talk to the political actors, because at the end of it, if violence happens, if people try to disrupt the electoral process, most likely those people are not acting on their own. They are sponsored and promoted by the political actors. And so we need to call the political actors out to ensure that they talk to their supporters to do the right thing.
Okay. What figures can you share with us in terms of these ongoing preparations, by which I mean, look, the people talk about voter apathy. How many people are registered total to, I hope you can hear me, how many people are registered to be able to participate in this election, and you know, figures like that, and so we can sort of extrapolate.
Okay, so we have 1,056,862 registered voters in Bayelsa State. Of this number, 1,017,613 have collected their permanent voters cards. So that's the figure we expect could come out to vote in the election. But I also need to mention this because people talk about percentage turnout at election, that this figure we have here is a reflection of all the people who registered to vote from 2010-2011 to date. And as you know, that between that time and now, a lot would have changed with those people. In reality, some of the persons who are registered here that we are talking about may be dead. Some of them may no longer be in Nigeria or in Bayelsa State. But we are planning for the number that we have actually issued voters cards for. And then on election day, we'll see how many people actually turn up to vote. Other figures you may need to know: we have 105 registration areas. We have, let me start from the polling units. We have 2,204. We have 2,244 polling units in Bayelsa State. Of that number, 2 of the polling units have 0 voters, which means that we'll be conducting election in only 2,242 polling units. And there are 105 wards or registration areas, and of course there are 8 local government areas in Bayelsa State.
Now, the interesting one is where you said 2 polling units have 0 voters. Of course, that is probably well understood to you and people in Bayelsa, but for the wider public listening to you, how did that come about, that technicality of 2 polling units having 0 voters?
Yeah, so if you recall, in 2021, INEC decided to create more polling units across the country, because before that time, the last time INEC created polling units was in 1996. So that was like 26 years after then that INEC decided to create more polling units because the population had changed, the geography has changed, new residential areas had emerged across the country. So in creating these polling units, we had a template that said that if a polling unit, an existing polling unit, had up to 750 registered voters, then we will create another polling unit, multiples of 500. And that we did scientifically. And then we had to decide where to site the new polling units. And then we encourage people who register to register in those new polling units. But it just happened that of the new polling units we created, 2 of those polling units, nobody on their own registered there or asked to be transferred to those polling units. That's why we have 2 polling units that exist but have not been populated by voters. We hope that by the next time we have a registration, then we will have people who register in those polling units. But for now, since there are no voters there, there is no need deploying materials to those 2 polling units.
Okay. Mentioning the word materials sort of reminds me of equipment, machines, BVN machines, and that kind of a thing. How many of those? And just give us what you can in terms of those figures as well. Do you have enough of those things? Do you have a backup where reports reach you that something didn't work? Generators, generally, what you have by way of a contingency?
Okay, so we know the number of polling units and we know the number of BVAS machines we need. Each polling unit should have 1 BVAS machine. But where you have a polling unit that has a large number of registered voters, we increase the number of BVAS machines used there. And we also have the backup BVAS machines in case any of them goes wrong, goes bad, and we need to replace them. So we have that taken care of.
Okay. Sorry, thank you very much. BVAS, I think I said BVN or something like that. BVAS machines. You have as many of them as you need because you do know the polling stations, polling units that you have. And should there be a need, again, you will cover what is needed. We've heard instances sometimes in past elections where standard equipment like because power can be a problem, electricity power might be an issue. Again, are we adequately prepared there? There are some, I recall some elections in the past where people were actually trying to do as much as they can for elections that stretched to the evening hours with phone torchlights and that kind of a thing. Do you have any contingency in case such facilities are needed?
Okay, so we have made arrangements for those in each of our registration area centers where people are going to camp tonight. We have electricity supplied there, and we also have our generators in case the public power supply goes off. And in the places where we'll also be doing collation tomorrow after the election, we also make provisions for that. So that shouldn't be a problem. The people, the staff in the local government areas where the elections are conducted have know the terrain, so they know what they need at that in those areas, and they've already prepared for that.
All other things being equal, INEC is ready in Bayelsa State. It's because it's a riverine kind of a community. Any special actions, any special provisions that probably might not have been the case in other areas? Does this stretch you in a different sort of way from some of your colleagues elsewhere?
Yes, our logistics plans cover both the cars and vehicles on land and vehicles on the water. So we make provisions for that. We know the locations we need to go to. We know the number of personnel we need to ferry across the water. And this personnel includes the ad hoc staff, it also includes the security personnel. So we've made provisions for the number of boats that would move them, and for each of the personnel who would be transported that way, we also have the life jackets for them to use in going to those places. So their safety is of importance to us. And we also work with the security agencies, so where they need to provide gunboats to accompany the personnel and materials to those places, they also do that.
So, but okay, fine. Thank you very much for that. As you've said from the very, very beginning, it looks like all systems go in Bayelsa State for the election. So, all other things being equal, elections will start what, at 8 p.m. because INEC would have been ready. Is that the plan? That the first votes will actually? Yeah, please go ahead.
Polling units are meant to be open at 8:30 a.m. on Saturday. So we will need to be there before that time, so that at 8:30 a.m. The polls open. Election will start from then. Once somebody is accredited, the person is given the ballot to vote. People should, once they are accredited, insist to collect the ballot to vote. And then at the end of the voting ends at 2:30 p.m. or until the last person who was in line at 2:30 p.m. has voted. And then the votes are counted in that polling unit. The results are entered in the result sheet, the polling unit result sheet, also known as the Form EC8A. And this is signed off by the presiding officer and the agents of the political parties. After that is done, copies of the results at that point are given to the agents of all the political parties, accredited agents of the political parties at that polling unit. A copy is also given to the security agencies. And then with the use of the BVATs, we take a snapshot of that result, and that is what is uploaded onto the IREF, the INEC Result Viewing Portal. And then from there, the presiding officer will move with election materials to the ward collation center, where the ward collation officer will receive the results from all the polling units in that ward and then collate them into the ward collation results. This would be witnessed by representatives of the political parties, their agents, who would also be given the results of that ward. They will be given copies of the results. And then from there, it will go to the local government area. All the wards in the local government area will go to the local government area, where the local government collation officer will receive the results from the wards and enter them, collate them into the local government result sheet, gets it signed off, and copies are also given to the agents of the parties and to the security personnel there. And then these results from the 8 local government areas would be brought to the state office here to our collation center, where the returning officer would be there to receive the results from the 8 local government areas, collect them, and when he or she is satisfied with the results that somebody has emerged a winner, he will make a declaration of who has won the election. That is when the election would be over.
Okay, indeed. This question of uploading or not uploading, how much of an issue is it in the election tomorrow, uploading or not uploading real time, which you know was an issue in the past in some instances? Is that still an issue, and how is it being addressed or contextualized?
Well, it's not an issue. Let me stress again that INEC created the INEC Result Viewing Portal, IREF, in 2020. And all the elections INEC has conducted from 2020, when the IREF was introduced, all the elections have used the IREF. We've used it in all the elections, and we are going to use it in this election. I've explained the process that when election is concluded at the polling unit and the results are entered in the polling unit result, which is Form EC8A, copies, physical copies of the results are given to the agents of the parties, which means every party in the election will have the results of every stage. And then there will even be a poster-sized result sheet that is filled and pasted in the polling unit there for others to see, even people who were in there when this was counted. And then with the use of the beavers, you take a snapshot of the original Form EC8A that has the result, and that is what is uploaded to the IREV, so that any member of anybody anywhere in the world who has access to the internet can see the result of any polling unit of interest to them. That is what INEC has always done, and that is what INEC is going to do in this election.
Okay. Okay. Now, in terms of maybe in closing now, INEC, from time to time will arrange meetings with the contestants, the representatives before the elections to sort of, something about, what is expected of them in terms of good sportsmanship and nothing being a do or die affair. I believe that would have happened in Bayelsa as well. Were you able to, or was there a need to organize anything like that?
Yes, we've had many stakeholders holders meetings with stakeholders, including the political parties at different levels, at the state level and at the local government level. But I think what you're talking about is the signing of the peace accord. This is actually handled by the National Peace Committee, and this was signed here in the state about 2-3 days ago. All the candidates came and signed that peace accord, where they committed to conducting themselves peacefully in the election, and we need to hold them to their promises going into the election. Not only them, they should be able to pass the message to their supporters that this is not a do or die. And like I keep expressing every time, Bayelsa is a peculiar state. It's one of the few states in the country that I know where there is, it's ethnically homogeneous. So all the people here come from one ethnic stock. There may be variants of that ethnic stock, but they are all of one ethnic stock. So in this election where we have 16 candidates contesting, at the end of it, I need to stress this, that 15 of the candidates will not win. Only one candidate will win. Now, whoever wins will be a brother or sister to all the other candidates in the election. And at the end of it, Bayelsa will win. Somebody had said, and I want to repeat it, that if anybody is not ready to lose in an election, then they should not take part in an election. Because there are 16 candidates, more people will lose than win the election. And so the probability of somebody winning the election is slimmer. So everybody should go into the election with the mindset that they can either win or lose. And whichever way it is, Bayelsa would be the winner. And this is the point I want the politicians, the candidates to bear in mind, and should come into the competition with the spirit of sportsmanship.
Okay. And maybe one final question. The Nigerians saying final and then coming up with final. I'm taking it for granted. It goes without saying INEC is not, it does not have any knowledge whatsoever about any candidate withdrawing from the race and urging his supporters to, support someone else. Nothing like that as far as INEC knows.
I'm not aware of that. And in any event, it is late for anybody to withdraw now, because the time for withdrawing has passed. Even if anybody says he or she has withdrawn, the person will still be on the ballot, and we will count the votes for the person. But I'm not aware that there is any such a withdrawal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obo Effanga, for spending time with us this morning. Really appreciate it, giving us the lie of the ground. You're very, very positive, and I think that sort of would have, rubbed off on a lot of people who are watching this election, not to speak about those who are actually participating in it. Once more, thank you very much, Mr. Obo Effanga, INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Bayelsa State.